Chapter 2650, Wonderful Pop-Up Window for Free Reading. What kind of father is he? D.I. Haosung's face darkened when he heard Emperor Stargirl's words. He was the Emperor's son from 40,000 years ago and had a life of glory. Which of his children didn't fear and respect him? Yet, Emperor Stargirl had completely disregarded him. You've grown up, child. D.I. Haosung stared at Emperor Stargirl coldly. Yeah, I've grown up. Emperor Stargirl stared back at him without fear and replied plainly. Stargirl, how can you speak to your father like that? The woman by the side quickly spoke to Emperor Stargirl with a bitter expression. He's not fit to be a husband or a father. The Emperor Star daughter said stubbornly as she looked at her mother. Hey, great. My Huan, you've taught your daughter well. D.I. Haosung's face darkened instantly as he stared coldly at the woman. Don't look at my mother like that. Do you think you're fit to be a husband? How dare you criticize others? Emperor Stargirl stared at him with disdain and said directly. You lack education. D.I. Haosung's face turned cold as he slapped his palm towards Emperor Stargirl's face. Cough cough. Wang Xian extended his hand and held D.I. Haosung's palm easily. He coughed but didn't say a word. Stop it. D.I. Haosung sensed Wang Xian's palm and his expression changed. Following which, he stared at Wang Xian with a gloomy face and growled with murderous intent in his eyes. You should be the one to stop, Wang Xian said plainly. Wang Xian said plainly. He let go of his hand and stared at him emotionlessly. Haha, great. Looks like you've grown up. You even dare to disobey me. D.I. Haosung laughed as he stared coldly at Emperor Stargirl and her mother. Hubby, Mom, we don't have to be bullied by him. Haven't we been like this all these years? Hee. Now that I've become the Emperor's daughter, why should I be afraid of him? Emperor Stargirl said coldly. Once she became the Emperor's daughter, she would be valued by the imperial court. Although her status wasn't as high as her father wouldn't be able to do anything to her. After all, her talent wasn't inferior to her father's. Before her father reached rank 8 or rank 9, the imperial court would treat him equally. The Emperor Star daughter's mother fell silent and sighed helplessly. As your father, even if you become a princess, I can still teach you a lesson about how disgraceful and heinous it is. D.I. Haosung was completely infuriated by Emperor Star Maiden's words. He raised his arm again and was about to hit her. Hey, don't embarrass yourself. Wang Xian looked over and spoke plainly. Once again, he grabbed his arm easily and reminded him. Get out of here. This is our family's business. Let go if you don't want to die. D.I. Haosung's expression changed again as he stared at Wang Xian with undisguised killing intent. Don't embarrass yourself. Hearing his words, Bei Shuang placed her hand on D.I. Haosung's shoulder. D.I. Haosung wanted to dodge, but he found that he couldn't react in time. The palm landed on his body, and frost covered half of his arm. Wang Xian and Bei Shuang could tell that the Emperor Star Maiden did not have a good impression of her father. In fact, there was even a tinge of hatred. As for the Emperor Star daughter's mother, she also had no feelings for her husband. Given to D.I. Haosung by his family, he naturally had no feelings for D.I. Haosung. In addition, he had been neglected for tens of thousands of years. How could she have a good impression of him? More than anything, she felt helpless and indignant. You guys are courting death. How dare you create trouble in the imperial court? D.I. Haosung's expression changed as he stared at Wang Xian and Bei Shuang with undisguised killing intent. The Emperor Star daughter's business is also the Dragon Palace's business. Therefore, I'm sorry if you're looking for trouble. Wang Xian pushed D.I. Haosung gently with his palm. D.I. Haosung's entire body shook and retreated to the back. In an instant, his face was filled with anger. Hey! In the center, the group of princes and princesses who were watching the battle noticed the situation and were slightly shocked. Big brother. D.I. Haofang's expression changed as he rushed out to support D.I. Haosung. What's going on? Protector Kang looked at D.I. Haosung before sweeping his gaze across Wang Xian, the Emperor Star daughter, and the rest. Protector, it's nothing. D.I. Haosung's expression changed constantly as he took a deep breath and replied with a gloomy face. Don't wash your dirty linen in public. What else could he say about this? Bullied by the force that his daughter relied on? Where was his face? He stood among the group of princes and princesses with a gloomy face. Lord Protector, that girl is pretty strong. She's the strongest among the disciples. The force that she relies on is also very strong. If nothing goes wrong, the princess will be hers. In the center, an old lady glanced at the Emperor Star daughter and sent a voice transmission to Protector Kang. Yeah, if nothing goes wrong, she's the strongest and is also the strongest disciple in the recent dozen generations. Protector Kang nodded his head slightly. Mom, let's ignore him. When your daughter becomes the princess, we won't have to be afraid of him. Moreover, Wang Xian, Sister Bei Shuang, and the rest will help me. Over at Wang Xian's side, the Emperor Star daughter comforted her worried mother with a smile. He's your father after all. The old lady sighed and said, "For me." The Emperor Star daughter snorted softly before turning her head and thanking Wang Xian softly. Wang Xian smiled and nodded his head. At the front, 90 disciples were sparring one by one. After more than 10 hours, the ranking was out. 11 to 20 disciples, step forward. The other 10 disciples will also enter the field. More than 10 hours was a short time for the experts. Protector Kang's voice continued. Yes. The disciples came to the field with excitement in their eyes. They sized up their competitors with fighting spirit on their faces. 20 disciples and 6 females. The females will first choose a princess, and then the ranking will be carried out. Protector Kang announced the rules. There would be 1 prince and princess in each batch. However, there would be a situation where the princess might not be as strong as the second or third place on the male side. This wouldn't affect the title of the princess, but it would affect the distribution of resources at the end. All male disciples will stand aside and watch. The 6 female disciples are free to challenge. Protector Kang continued. Yes, Protector. The group of male disciples stood aside immediately. Who do you think will become the princess? Di Suzhuang's strength shouldn't be underestimated. She's definitely in the top 3 in our generation. There's a dark horse among the females, but I'm not sure how strong she is. Don't forget about the Emperor Star daughter. She's not weak either. The 14 young men walked to the side as some of them made their guesses. Emperor Star daughter? For me. She's just an entertainer. What right does she have to be called the princess? Di Qingshan said with a sullen face. The few young men beside her smiled faintly when they heard her. Chapter 2651. The selection of the princess is about to begin. There are only 6 women in the top 20. I wonder who will get the title of princess. Di Suzhuang is the most likely. Goddess Suzhuang's strength is widely recognized. I heard that the ancestor Elder Suzhuang often gives her pointers. Goddess Suzhuang must have reached the 7th order of the eternal Godlord realm. That woman called Liang Yi is a big dark horse. She had a lot of battle experience in the battle just now. The Emperor Star Princess can't be ignored. This time, she brought the leader of a force with her, and that leader is the master of the Ice Goddess. The selection of the princess began. Everyone watched with wide eyes and began to discuss. The selection of the princess was about to begin, and the crowd was in an uproar. They analyzed the 6 women one by one. Among the 6 women, 4 were geniuses who lived in vast palaces and had the best resources in the Imperial Star region. The other 2 were the Emperor Star Princess and the Dark Horse Girl. Di Suzhuang was the most popular. Many people thought she could become the princess. Although the Emperor Star Princess was a top star in the Imperial Star region, the core geniuses of the Imperial Court didn't care about her at all. I heard that the Emperor Star Princess is very strong. Among the 6 of them, only you are worthy of being my opponent. In the field, Di Suzhuang turned his body slightly and completely ignored the other 4 female disciples. He stared at the Emperor Star Princess. Oh! The expressions of 3 of the women changed slightly. They were embarrassed by Di Suzhuang's disdain. The other woman looked on expressionlessly and slightly tightened her grip on the longsword in her hand. Oh! It seems that Di Suzhuang values the Emperor Star Princess a lot. I heard that the Emperor Star Princess isn't weak either. She's a star and doesn't lack resources. I just didn't expect Di Suzhuang to value her so much. Some of the onlookers were slightly surprised when they saw this. Di Suzhuang, I've heard of you for a long time. The Emperor Star Princess looked at her as a faint smile appeared on her face. She glanced at the group of princes and paused her gaze on Di Haosong for 2 seconds. However, you're still far from being strong. She raised her head slightly and glanced at all the women around her, including the 16 young men 1,000 meters away. Bam bam! As her voice fell, the dragon blood sword appeared in her hand, emitting an incomparably cold sound. Emperor Star Maiden, you're too arrogant. Di Suzhuang's eyes turned cold. She was one of the top women in the imperial court. This was the first time someone had looked down on her. With a shake of her arm, a snow-white sword also appeared in her hand. Let's go together to save some time. The corners of the Emperor Star Maiden's mouth curled up as she swept her gaze across the surroundings. Clang! In the next moment, the dragon blood sword in her hand moved, covering all the people around her. Emperor Star Maiden, you're too arrogant. You actually want to challenge all of us by yourself? The expressions of the 4 women changed slightly when they saw the Emperor Star Maiden's attack enveloping them. This Emperor Star Princess is so arrogant. She actually wants to fight 1 against 5. How arrogant. Those who are able to make it to the top 20 are not that far apart in terms of strength. He actually dares to challenge 5 of them. When the 16 youths saw the Emperor Star Princess attack Di Suzhuang and the other 4 women, their expressions turned cold. What? Her energy also enveloped us. However, the next moment, to everyone's astonishment, the fiery red sword light also enveloped them. Now, they suddenly understood what the Emperor Star Princess had said. Let's go together to save some time. Was she trying to save some energy to fight against them? Was she confident that she could challenge all 19 of them by herself? Arrogant and conceited. You don't know your place. Emperor Spirit Song, who was in the center, had a cold look on his face. She wasn't taking them seriously at all. Emperor Star Princess, are you looking for a fight? Di Ming, who was next to her, was also startled. Say that after you block my sword. The Emperor Star Princess's sword wasn't very fast. In fact, to show off her strength, the speed of her sword was very slow. What is the Emperor Star Princess doing? Does she really think she can fight against all 19 of them by herself? No, look at the power of her sword. The surrounding people were in an uproar. However, some of the princes and princesses in front of them sensed that something was wrong. They were all strong cultivators and could clearly sense the power of the Emperor Star Princess's sword. They were all shocked. No, her sword is so strong. At this moment, Di Suzhuang and the others, who were closest to the Emperor Star Princess, sensed the terrifying power contained in the sword. So strong. The woman on the black horse had a solemn look on her face. Break. Di Suzhuang's face was full of panic as she slashed forward with her snow-white sword. Block it. The other women also gritted their teeth and took out their weapons to block. Oh no. She's very strong. How is this possible? The fiery sword aura had also reached the 14 young men. Feeling the power of the fiery sword, their expressions changed drastically. Boom, boom, boom. The next moment, all of them unleashed their full strength to block the attack. Bam! Ka. Oh no. How can she be so strong? Sounds of collision and disbelief could be heard. All the attacks from the Emperor Star Princess collapsed instantly. The fiery sword aura from the dragon blood sword continued sweeping towards them. Dodge. The 19 young men and women hurriedly retreated in fear, their expressions changing constantly. Because the Emperor Star Princess had purposely slowed the sword aura down, the 19 pale-faced people retreated from the range of the fiery sword aura. Just one sword. There was no one around the Emperor Star Princess. She stood there, looking down at the 19 young men and women with disdain. Indeed, just one sword. Given her peak Eternal Divine Lord strength, she could kill all of these 7th-level Eternal Divine Lord disciples with a single sword strike if she wanted to. Hiss, peak Divine Lord. Her words caused the 19 fleeing youths to gasp as they stared at her in fear and shock. Peak Divine Lord. The Emperor Star Princess had the strength of a peak divine lord. She was much, much stronger than them. How could the Emperor Star Princess be so strong? Peak divine lord. She's actually a peak divine lord. It's been a long time since such a strong disciple has appeared in the Imperial Star region. Exclamations of shock could be heard from the surroundings. Chapter 2652. In the Imperial Court's Disciple Tournament, those who could reach the Eternal God Lord 7th Order were more or less qualified to become princes and princesses. Just like the two princes and princesses from the previous generation, they had this level of strength. Even after 5,000 years, they were only at the peak God Lord level. They were still a step away from becoming an immortal God King. But now that the Emperor Star Princess had displayed the strength of a peak God Lord, it meant that she could stand shoulder to shoulder with the princes and princesses from the previous generation. This was a difference of 5,000 years. How can the Emperor Star Princess be so strong? I remember that she was only around the 5th Order God Lord a few years ago. Did she obtain some supreme treasure to raise her strength so quickly? Either she's been hiding her strength all this time, or she's obtained a huge amount of resources in the past few years. The eyes of the surrounding people flickered as they looked at the Emperor Star Princess. She was facing 19 of the most outstanding disciples of her generation and could still suppress them easily. It had been a long time since such a powerful disciple had appeared in the Imperial Court. So strong. Among the princes and princesses, Di Haosong's expression kept changing. This was his daughter. If it was any other time, he would definitely be very happy. His daughter had become the Empress, and she was so powerful. But now, his expression gradually darkened. Peak God Lord. The 19 disciples' expressions kept changing. Di Su's face darkened as he gripped the snow-white long sword in his hand. I admit defeat. The woman on the black horse looked at the Emperor Star Princess, who was exuding a powerful aura, shook her head, and retreated. I also admit defeat. I also admit defeat. With someone taking the lead, 2 other women shook their heads helplessly and retreated to the side. The strength of a peak God Lord wasn't something they could contend with. What about you guys? The Emperor Star Princess lifted her head slightly and glanced at the rest of the crowd, including the 14 young men. We concede defeat. I really didn't expect you to be so strong. The young men shook their heads and retreated to the side. In an instant, 10 men retreated to the side. Emperor Star Princess, don't think that we're afraid of you just because you have the strength of a peak God Lord. The selection of the princes and princesses is a test of strength, not cultivation level. Di Su gripped the snow-white long sword in his hand, unwilling to give up. Hua hua hua. In the next moment, drops of white liquid dripped from her long sword. The liquid slowly condensed into a human figure. The white figure entered Di Suzang's body. Boom. In the next moment, an incomparably powerful aura burst forth from her body. This is a battle spirit that I obtained. I nurtured it for 1,000 years and fused it with it. Don't think that you can suppress everyone just because you have the strength of a peak divine master. This competition isn't over yet. Di Su's clothes fluttered even though there was no wind, and his aura surged. Battle spirit, I never thought that Di Suzhang would obtain such a treasure. Some people were shocked to see Di Suzhuang's aura increase. The princes and princesses looked on with twinkling eyes. The competition between the princes and princesses was a competition of strength and combat power. Other than high-tech items, everything else could be used. Hihi, Emperor Star Maiden, you want to suppress all of us? You're dreaming, no matter how strong you are. At the side, a wooden staff appeared in the hands of the Emperor Soul Singer. Vines extended from the staff, and the vines slowly covered the entire body. Crack, crack. Soon, a similarly powerful aura emanated from his body, and it wasn't any weaker than a peak divine master's. At the same time, the vines wrapped around his body made him more than 100 meters tall. Come out, wooden dove. Chirp chirp. But it wasn't over yet. He waved the staff in front of him, and a 10-meter-long battle pet suddenly appeared. The battle pet had a pair of leaf-like wings, and it perched on Emperor Soul Singer's massive shoulders. He's showing his trump card. Emperor Soul Singer has shown his trump card. A peak divine master battle pet, And those powerful vines covering his entire body. What sort of treasure is that? He, as expected, none of the prodigies of our imperial court are simple. Emperor Soul Singer's aura is so strong. He himself has the fighting strength of a peak divine master, and with that battle pet of his, he's even stronger than the Emperor Star Maiden. Although he's borrowing external power, it's still a part of his strength. Some people were astonished to see the changes in Di Su Zheng and Emperor Soul Singer. Even the Emperor Star Daughter's mother's face was filled with worry. Several young men and women revealed fearful expressions when they saw the changes in Emperor Soul Singer, and their pupils constricted. I didn't expect the final battle to start so soon. Di Ming's lips curled up as he waved his arm. Crack, crack, crack. Pieces of metal appeared in front of him, transforming into a 10-meter-tall giant like a transformer. He leaped onto the body of the transformer. A puppet. All of them are very strong. They all have quite a lot of trump cards. The black-robed Di Ju's eyes flashed with a dark luster. Crack, 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 crack. 2 dark golden skeletons appeared around him. The dark golden skeletons exuded an eerie aura. I won't be satisfied if I don't try. Emperor Star Maiden, don't be too arrogant. In terms of trump cards and resources, you're still far behind. Di Qing Shan waved his arm, and a wolf battle pet covered in scales appeared next to him. The battle pet looked around and bellowed angrily. A strong killing intent spread to the surroundings. Silence. Di Qing Shan shouted. The battle pet lowered its head and stood next to him. 2 powerful battle pets. That dark golden skeleton is a special kind of battle pet. They tamed it completely. They didn't tame it. They tamed it with the help of powerful beast tamers over time. That is why they can control it so easily. That requires long-term help. That is the foundation. When the group of young men and women saw this scene, they were a little envious. Emperor Star Maiden, don't challenge us in such an arrogant way. Don't be so violent either. Apologize to us. Let's see who the Emperor Star Maiden is before we fight. Otherwise, we'll have to return the favor. Emperor Soul Song said to the Emperor Star Maiden coldly. The Emperor Star Maiden had embarrassed them. Naturally, they had to get back at her. I'm curious to see how arrogant you can be. Di Qing Shan glared at the Emperor Star Maiden. No wonder you have the support of your seniors. You're different. But still, you're not qualified to compete with me. The Emperor Star Maiden's gaze swept across the surroundings as she slowly squatted down, a cold expression on her face. Stand, snake. She shouted in a low voice. Hiss, hiss, hiss. The next second, a huge creature appeared. Chapter 2653, there was no pop-up window for free reading. Hiss, hiss, hiss. A series of noises that made one's scalp tingle rang out in the square of the Imperial Court's current disciple competition. Its body was over 10,000 meters long, its body was gray, its head was triangular, and its eyes were cold and sinister. When the erect serpent appeared beneath the Emperor Star Maiden, a cold and terrifying aura instantly swept across the surroundings. Roar, roar, crack, crack. At that moment, all the battle pets of Emperor Suj and Emperor Qingshan dropped to the ground, trembling. They couldn't help but growl. Even the 2 dark golden skeletons bent over. They had completely lost the ability to fight. At this moment, everyone was stunned. Even the princes and princesses in front of them widened their eyes and stared blankly at this scene. Shock was written all over their faces. Hiss, hiss, hiss. At that moment, the snake revealed itself completely. It was over 10,000 meters tall. It looked down at the prodigies of the Imperial Court who were like ants. It stuck out its tongue. Boom. A wave of terrifying pressure instantly spread out to the surroundings. Di Suzhuang, Di Hunji, Di Ming, Di Qingshan, and Di Ju were shocked. They couldn't help but bend down, almost crawling on the ground. At this moment, their faces were filled with shock and disbelief. How is this possible? How is this possible? All of the proud sons of heaven found it hard to believe. In their opinion, their trump cards were already sufficiently powerful and heaven-defying. They had paid a great price to obtain each of them. Take the battle pets at the peak of the Divine Lord level for example. They had bought those battle pets and trained them to adulthood. During this period, they would have to spend a lot of time developing a relationship with the battle pets, and taming masters would have to spend a lot of time taming them. Because the battle pets were stronger than their masters. A battle pet that was stronger than its master could be dangerous for the master. Especially when the battle pet was in danger, the battle pet might run away or even kill its master. Who would dare to be their mount if they couldn't control a battle pet that was weaker than them? They had paid a great price to get those battle pets at the peak of the Divine Lord level. But what rank was the Emperor Star Princess's battle pet? Just the terrifying power that was revealed was not something that they could contend against. They didn't even dare to look at the battle pet in the eye. This terrifying pressure was something they had only felt from 4th and 5th order Undying God Kings, and even 6th or 7th order Undying God Kings. Is she crazy? How can she control such a powerful battle pet? Su's face was filled with disbelief as he raised his head with difficulty and growled. What is this battle pet? He actually has the aura of a 5th order immortal God King? How is that possible? She's just a peak God Lord lass, yet she has a rank 5 Undying God King battle pet. Not only were the disciples of the imperial court in disbelief, even the spectators and the princes and princesses were shocked. A level 5 Undying God King battle pet, such a powerful battle pet, many of the princes and princesses did not have one. That's a starry sky behemoth, a starry sky behemoth serpent. At the strongest position, the old protector's eyes suddenly shot out a ray of light, and he roared in a low voice. What? Giant space beast, protector, how is that possible? Giant space beast battle pet, we don't have more than 3 in the entire Imperial Star Domain. How can she have one? As the old protector's voice faded, a few 8th order and 9th order Undying God King princes and princesses around him asked with their eyes wide open. Battle pets were also divided into ranks, and without a doubt, the strongest battle pet was the giant space beast. There were only 3 giant space beast battle pets in the entire Imperial Star Domain, and one of them was the mount of one of the Imperial Court's protectors. That giant space beast had the strength of a peak Undying God King, so powerful that it was almost invincible. The other 2 giant space beast battle pets were also famous, and had terrifying strength. Yet now, a peak God Lord female actually had a 5th order Undying God King giant space beast battle pet? Crazy. Boom. The old protector's eyes flashed as he stared at the towering snake, and did not reply to the surrounding princes and princesses. His figure flashed, and instantly appeared in front of Emperor Star Maiden. In the sky, Emperor Star Maiden, who was standing on top of the towering snake's head, was slightly shocked. Protector. She called out respectfully at once. This towering snake lives in your god kingdom? The old protector asked directly. Yes, Protector. Its lair is also in my god kingdom. Emperor Star Maiden nodded. Let me see how you ride it. The old protector's eyes flashed. Yes, Protector. Emperor Star Maiden understood that the protector wanted to test her. This was also to prevent her from cheating by getting a battle pet at the last minute to suppress the other youths of the same generation. Little snake, entrench. She lightly stepped on the towering snake's head. Hiss, hiss. Without any hesitation, the towering snake coiled its body downward. Its 10,000-meter-long body directly coiled in the middle of the square, giving off a strong sense of awe. Little snake, attack. Emperor Star Maiden raised her head, smiled at the protector, and ordered. Hiss, hiss, hiss. The towering snake stuck out its tongue, and a powerful aura surged from its body. A surge of energy wrapped around Emperor Star Maiden, and in the next instant, the towering snake charged towards the old protector. Boom, boom, boom. Seeing this, the old protector's eyes glowed. An invincible aura surged from him towards the towering snake. Hiss, hiss, hiss. The towering snake, which was preparing to attack, was horrified. It stuck out its head and stared at the old protector with fear. Its body was trembling, but it did not run away. Instead, it circled around the old protector, as though waiting for an opportunity to strike. Great, haha, great. The old protector couldn't help but burst into laughter when he saw the towering snake's reaction. Great, Emperor Star Maiden, right? Great, such a giant star beast is completely loyal to its master. Very good, he looked at the Emperor Star Maiden happily and praised her generously. In the Imperial Star Domain, there weren't many that could earn the praise of this Emperor's son. To be able to control a fifth-order immortal king giant star beast at the pinnacle of the eternal godlord realm, it's hard to imagine what kind of opportunity you have. The old protector exclaimed. Protector, this is Wang Xian. The Dragon King caught and tamed it for me. The Emperor Star Maiden bowed respectfully to the protector. She looked at where Wang Xian was standing and spoke with a smile on her face. Oh, Dragon King, it seems like the Dragon King is a rare beast-taming grandmaster. The old protector's eyes were filled with surprise as he followed the Emperor Star Maiden's gaze to Wang Xian. Seeing the protector's gaze, Wang Xian cupped his fists at him. Thank you, Dragon King, for helping the Imperial Court to groom such a princess. The old protector also cupped his fists at Wang Xian. Chapter 2654, Star Princess and I are friends. When Wang Xian heard the words of the elderly guardian, he replied with a smile. Princess. Lord Protector addressed Emperor Star Princess as Princess. That means, isn't that normal? That's a fifth-order immortal king god king beast. Protector has already tested it and it's completely loyal to its master. That's heaven-defying. The princess truly lives up to her name. Just the Emperor Star Princess's strength alone far surpasses the other disciples, not to mention her trump cards. She has a astral beast battle pet. Not to mention the current generation, even if you look back 7 or 8 generations, is there anyone that can be a match for her? As for factions, there's no need to compete at all. Let alone the Dragon King, even the Emperor Star Princess might not be a match for the giant space serpent just by relying on her giant space beast. It's not just the princess. The number 1 of this generation is out too. There's no comparison at all. She's completely crushed. When the surrounding people heard the protector's words, they all had shocked expressions on their faces. The protector's words meant that the princess of this generation had been decided. However, everyone also understood. How could she not be the princess? It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that she was the number 1 of this generation. She was probably the first in the history of the Imperial Court to achieve that with just her giant serpent beast. What's the relationship between the Dragon King and Emperor Star Princess? He gave her a giant serpent beast. The giant serpent beast can grow to the peak of the Divine King realm at its peak, right? That's a protector-level existence. Soon, some people looked at Wang Xian on the viewing platform. Their eyes flickered and were filled with shock. He gave such a giant serpent beast to the Emperor Star Princess. Even his own father wouldn't bear to do that. Could he be her godfather? Some of the youths were thinking about it. SSS, there's no comparison. In the square, Di Su, Di Hunji and the rest looked on helplessly. They weren't on the same level. Di Qingshan didn't look too good as he stood there with uncertainty. Luckily, she doesn't know that I targeted her. At this moment, Di Qingshan felt lucky. Big brother, this is yours. Among the group of princes and princesses, Di Haofeng stared blankly at the dazzling lady on the square. He opened his mouth and spoke to his elder brother. Di Haosong's body trembled slightly, and his expression was extremely ugly. This was his daughter, the daughter who didn't recognize him as her father. He had some understanding of the giant space serpent. It could grow to the peak of the God King realm. This kind of existence, as long as they did not perish midway, would be a peak God King existence. He didn't even dare to be sure that he could become a peak God King powerhouse. That's enough. Princess is the Emperor Star Maiden, and the champion of this generation's competition is also the Emperor Star Maiden. There's no need for you to participate in the following battles. You can just watch from the sidelines. Next, it's time to select the princes and rank them. At this moment, the old protector announced with a smile. Emperor Spirit Song, Emperor Suzhuang, and the others had no objections. The Emperor Star Princess couldn't help but reveal a happy smile. She kept the monarch snake and flew towards her mother and Wang Xian. Mom, I've become a princess. The Emperor Star daughter hugged her mother as she spoke emotionally. Good job, Star Maiden. Tears welled up in the eyes of the woman as she patted her back happily. Star Maiden, you have to thank the Dragon King and young Master Wang Xian properly. The woman looked at her daughter's face and instructed. I know. The Emperor Star Maiden nodded and looked at Wang Xian. Wang Xian lifted his head slightly, as though he was looking down on her. Seeing him like this, the Emperor Star Maiden couldn't help but laugh. After becoming a princess, I'll have quite a bit of authority. Moreover, the strength I've displayed will be valued by the Imperial Court. Stay in the Imperial Court for a few days, and I'll treat my benefactor well. The Emperor Star Maiden whispered to Wang Xian. I'll pass this time. I still have some matters to settle on the Demon Island. Didn't you have to enter the secret realm after becoming a princess? Come to the Dragon Palace to thank me when you have time. Wang Xian chuckled. Next, Wang Xian and the others became spectators as they watched the battles of the other 19 disciples. After several hours of battles, the Emperor Spirit Song was selected. He had a peak stage God Lord War Pet, and his strength was comparable to a peak stage God Lord under the cover of vines. Moreover, Emperor Spirit Song's faction was relatively strong. After all these considerations, Emperor Spirit Song was chosen as the Emperor Spirit Song of this generation. Similarly, he was the second place of this generation. If it weren't for the Emperor Star Maiden's incredible talent and terrifying cosmic beast war pet, Emperor Spirit Song would definitely be the most dazzling existence of this generation. It was a pity that with the Emperor Star Maiden around, Emperor Spirit Song, who had extraordinary talent and strength, seemed rather mediocre. The Emperor and Princess will be allocated a side palace in the Imperial Court Palace. You can bring 3 of your family members in. Tomorrow, the top 100 disciples will enter the merit shop, and the top 10 will enter the secret realm to cultivate for a month. The abyss is coming, and the war is about to begin. In a month, all of you will go to the abyss battlefield to train and accumulate merits. By then, your factions will follow you into the abyss battlefield. After the ranking was over, a group of disciples stood in the middle of the square. The old protector said solemnly, "It seems like the abyss this time has threatened the entire Imperial Court. Even the Imperial Court's disciples are going to fight." Wang Xian's eyes lit up when he heard the old protector's words. For a war to affect the Imperial Court, there must be void god-level existences in the abyss. Otherwise, the Emperor Star Maiden and the other disciples wouldn't be sent to the battlefield. All right, all disciples will head to the merit shop tomorrow. The old protector's announcement ended, and the disciples dispersed. Mom, Wang Xian, the Emperor Star Maiden flew over happily. Congratulations, Emperor Star Maiden. You're the best of your generation. Haha, luckily I'm not in the same generation as Emperor Star Maiden. Otherwise, I would be suppressed. Congratulations. However, before Wang Xian and the rest could chat with the Emperor Star Maiden, many people flew over to her. The Emperor Star Maiden was slightly stunned when she saw the crowd congratulating her. She smiled and replied immediately. She was considered a junior in the Imperial Court, and she didn't dare to put on airs when the elders congratulated her. Moreover, there were many former emperors and princesses who came to congratulate her. She didn't dare to ignore them. Even if she had great potential. Wang Xian looked at them and revealed a smile. The matter with the Emperor Star Maiden had been settled, and it was time for him to return. He had also received a signal from the Imperial Court that a war was about to break out. And the Dragon Palace had to improve as soon as possible, and complete its transformation in this war. Chapter 2655. There was no pop-up window for free reading. This trip went smoothly. I wonder how the situation is at the Demon Island. After informing Emperor Star Maiden's mother, Wang Xian did not linger in the Imperial Court for long and flew towards the Demon Island. After flying in transit, Wang Xian and the rest arrived at Beckoning Moon Planet after more than 10 hours. Master, I'll return to Bei Chuan Sect first. Bei Shuang said to Wang Xian before flying towards Bei Chuan Sect's planet. Wang Xian headed straight for the planet where the Dragon Palace was located at the northern border. Hey! When Wang Xian arrived at the planet where the Dragon Palace was located, he saw a few hundred people hovering around the dragon peak. He raised an eyebrow and flew over immediately. "Huh! The Dragon King is here. The Dragon King is here. Let's go and thank the Dragon King." Beside the dragon peak, a few hundred people noticed Wang Xian flying over and greeted him immediately. "This is ancient god dynasty." Wang Xian raised an eyebrow as he looked at their attire. He swept his gaze across over 200 people, including 2 8th-level Immortal King Realm experts. "Greetings, Dragon King. We finally meet the Dragon King. Thank you for your help in the recent battle. The ancient god dynasty is extremely grateful." The group of people flew over and thanked Wang Xian immediately. "Oh, I've been away for a few days and don't know what happened on the Demon Island." Wang Xian raised an eyebrow as he looked at the officials of the Dragon Palace in front of the Dragon Peak. "Dragon King, after you left, the experts of the Dragon Palace also returned to the Dragon Palace to improve their strength. Another battle broke out on the Demon Island. This time, the scale of the battle wasn't huge. However, the ancient god dynasty was unlucky and encountered 6 8th-level Immortal King Realm Abyss species. They asked for help from us. Prime Minister Turtle sent the Fire Hammer clan of the Dragon Palace to control the Dragon Peak and sent a group of experts to help them defend against this crisis." A civil official walked over immediately and whispered to Wang Xian. "This time, it's all thanks to the Dragon Palace. Otherwise, the ancient god dynasty would have suffered a huge loss. If the Dragon King has any orders in the future, the ancient god dynasty will not decline." Beside him, a Laozu from the ancient god dynasty bowed to Wang Xian with a smile. "Hihi, it's just a small matter. I just came back from outside and there are some things that I have yet to deal with. Let's meet up again after this war is over." Upon hearing his words, Wang Xian shook his head nonchalantly. "All right, then we shall not disturb the Dragon King any further. After the Abyss battle, the ancient god's dynasty will express our gratitude to the Dragon Palace." The people of the ancient god dynasty nodded. Wang Xian chuckled and flew straight to the Dragon Palace on a planet nearby. The Dragon Palace is really loyal. They helped us so much, but the Dragon King didn't even take it to heart. That's right. Fortunately, the Dragon Palace appeared in the Battle of the Abyss this time. That Dragon King is really free and easy. In the future, our disciples of the ancient god dynasty should be more respectful when we meet people from the Dragon Palace. Seeing Wang Xian leaving just like that, the people from the ancient god dynasty sighed. The Dragon Palace had helped a lot this time. Although the ancient god's dynasty had given them enough abyssal corpses, the ancient god's dynasty still owed them a favor. Buzz. Prime Minister Turtle, there was another war while I was away. In the main Dragon Palace, Wang Xian went to the dragon transformation pool immediately after he returned. Prime Minister Turtle was standing by the side. Dragon King, a war broke out on the 4th day after you left. The ancient god's dynasty met with some trouble. They gave us some abyssal corpses, and I sent someone to help them with the Dragon Peak. However, as the heavenly formation and most of the members are increasing their strength, we were not able to hunt down the 8th Order Immortal King abyssal species. Prime Minister Turtle said. How's the situation at the Devil Island? Wang Xian asked. Currently, there's nothing much. However, there's another 9th Order Immortal King abyssal species over at the Moon Sect. The situation isn't looking good. The strength of the Moon Sect isn't the strongest among the other sects. They don't have any pinnacle Immortal King experts. Based on the information we received, there should be 4 9th Order God King experts in the Moon Sect. Prime Minister Turtle said. 4. Get Roving Demon and Mauserson over. Wang Xian raised his eyebrows slightly as he gave his order. Yes, Dragon King. Prime Minister Turtle nodded and flew towards the back. Wang Xian stood in front of the dragon transformation pool and looked at the experts of the Dragon Palace. Ao Feng Huang, Ao Jian, Roving Heavens, Ao Qi, and the rest were increasing their strength. In the middle of the pool was a strange-shaped heavenly formation. The heavenly formation was advancing towards the 9th Order Immortal King realm, while Ao Feng Huang, Ao Jian, and the rest were advancing to the 8th Order Immortal King realm. After this, The Dragon Palace could increase the strength of 1 9th Order Immortal King Realm Expert, and 8 8th Order Immortal King Realm Experts. However, Wang Xian waved his hand, and a spatial ring appeared in his hand. Within the spatial ring, there were large amounts of resources. These resources can increase the strength of 4 9th Order Immortal King Realm Experts. Wang Xian revealed a smile. He was prepared to increase the strength of Roving Demon, Mao Zesen, Ao Xingmu, and Ao Fenghuang. After the increase, the Dragon Palace would have 6 9th Order Immortal King Realm Experts. If the Moon Sect was as strong as Prime Minister Turtle said, they wouldn't be a match for the Dragon Palace. Dragon King. Very quickly, Roving Demon and Mao Zesen rushed over. Increase the strength of the two of you first. Wang Xian looked at them and said. The two of them already had the strength of an 8th Order Immortal King Realm Expert. Hence, they did not receive the increase. Hearing Wang Xian's words, they were slightly taken aback. Not bad, I managed to get some resources. Both of you, sit here. Wang Xian chuckled, and poured a large amount of resources into his mouth, converting them into dragon energy. Subsequently, Wang Xian transferred the dragon energy to Roving Demon and Mao Zesen. Boom boom. Half an hour later, Roving Demon and Mao Zesen successfully achieved a breakthrough. After the breakthrough, the aura of the two of them was even more majestic. Dragon Palace, Roving Demon, Mao Zesen, and the rest are getting stronger. Next, we will be able to get more Abyss-type corpses, Prime Minister Turtle said excitedly. I wonder how long this war will last. The Imperial Court will start a war soon. This is also an opportunity for the Dragon Palace. However, opportunity and danger coexist. Wang Xian murmured, and his eyes flickered. Now, he hoped that the war on the Devil Island would last longer. The longer the war lasted, the more resources the Dragon Palace would obtain, and the faster the Dragon Palace's strength would increase. If the Devil Island was breached, it would be troublesome. With a thought, he came to the front of the Dragon Throne. Chapter 2656, Celestial Slaying Gourd. Wang Xian came to the Dragon Throne and looked at the gourd wrapped around by the boundless wood and Nirvana lightning tree branches. He waved his arm and the Celestial Slaying Gourd came before him. The two fist-sized Celestial Slaying Gourds looked small with 3 strands of sword chi surrounding it. This treasure is similar to the God Striking Branch. It's a special weapon, but this Celestial Slaying Gourd is obviously of a much higher grade than the God Striking Branch. Wang Xian murmured as he grabbed the Celestial Slaying Gourd. The entire gourd separated from the progenitor tree. He looked at the open lid and closed it. The moment he closed the lid, the 3 strands of sword chi entered the Celestial Slaying Gourd. Wang Xian sensed it and realized that as long as he willed it to open the Celestial Slaying Gourd, the 3 strands of sword chi would be able to unleash a terrifying attack. This attack would be comparable to an attack from an undying God King Pinnacle Expert. After releasing the 3 strands of sword chi, the Celestial Slaying Gourd lost its effect and continued to accumulate. At the current speed, I can accumulate 3 strands of sword chi in a month. This Celestial Slaying Gourd seems to have its own consciousness, but for some reason, the soul within has fallen silent and is now awakening. I wonder what kind of power the awakened Celestial Slaying Gourd will possess. He murmured and placed the Celestial Slaying Gourd on the progenitor tree. He could summon it from the progenitor tree at any time and it was considered a powerful treasure. At that time, even the elders of Imperial Dynasty wanted to bid for it. In the next 10 days, the evil demon island was peaceful and there was no war. However, at the center of the northern front, the people from Crescent Sect stood solemnly in front of the abyss. Another rank 9 undying God King Abyss species had appeared. From 2 at the start, there were now 4. The pressure on the northern front was increasing. The other forces also received the news and their faces were solemn. It had been almost 2 months since the war on the northern front began. In the past 2 months, there had been several great battles, and countless abyss species had been killed. At the same time, the humans at the northern front also suffered heavy losses. Rumble, rumble, rumble. In these 10 days, Tian Zhen and the others finally completed their breakthroughs. Waves of majestic aura filled the entire Dragon Palace. Powerful members of Dragon Palace lined up in a row. Dragon Palace currently had over 400,000 members, among which there were close to 30,000 undying kings. At the front, other than Heavenly Formation, there were roving Yarrow, Mao Zedong, Ao Xingmu, and Ao Fenghuang. The four of them also had the battle prowess of a Ninth Order Undying God King. As for the members at the 8th step, there were a total of 11, and there were more at the 7th step, more than 70 of them. Such strength is enough to deal with everything that comes next. Wang Xian smiled. He was very satisfied with the current strength of the Dragon Palace. Tianjin, continue to improve the strength of Dragon Peak. The rest of the members of Dragon Palace will wait here for further orders, Wang Xian ordered. It's Dragon King. The disciples of Dragon Palace immediately responded. The Dragon Peak had a God King pinnacle god tree, so according to the Heaven Array, the limit of the Dragon Peak as a war machine was Undying God King pinnacle. This was more than enough for the Dragon Palace. Dragon King, they sent an invitation letter last month, saying that they want to invite the experts of our Dragon Palace to the Moon Inviting Planet for a discussion. When the members of Dragon Palace dispersed, Prime Minister Turtle came over and reported. They want to invite the Dragon Palace over for a discussion? Wang Xian raised an eyebrow. Yes, there are currently 4 rank 9 immortal King Abyss species gathered at the Moon Inviting Planet. Moon Inviting Planet also felt some pressure. This discussion should be about the upcoming war. Prime Minister Turtle said. Let's go and take a look. Wang Xian pondered for a moment before nodding his head. He also wanted to know what the plan for the Northern Front was. Back at the Demon Island, Tianjin led the Fire Hammer tribe to improve the Dragon Peak. After Tianjin and the rest of the Fire Hammer tribe improved, it would not take long for the Dragon Peak to kill rank 9 immortal King Abyss species. Wang Xian brought Prime Minister Turtle and flew towards the beckoning moon planet. Dragon King, this way please. When Wang Xian and the rest arrived at the Moon Inviting Planet, the 2 God King experts from the Moon Inviting Planet welcomed them. Wang Xian nodded his head and flew towards a palace below. Dragon King is here. Dragon King, Master. When Wang Xian entered the main hall, there were already a few hundred people inside. Dragon Python Group, Beichuan Sect, Ancient God Dynasty, Moon Sect, and some experts from other smaller forces. When the experts from the forces saw Wang Xian, they greeted him warmly. Bei Shuang also walked over. Wang Xian nodded his head at the crowd. Dragon King, take a seat. In the middle, a dozen people were seated. All of them were the leaders of their respective forces. The leading old man looked at Wang Xian and gestured to him. Wang Xian nodded his head and sat down. Prime Minister Turtle and Bei Shuang stood beside him. Since the Dragon King is here, let's talk about the current situation on the Demon Island. The leading expert from the Moon Sect looked around and spoke with a solemn tone. As soon as he finished his sentence, the surrounding people revealed a solemn expression. For the upcoming battlefront, we can't be scattered like this. I believe everyone is aware of the current situation. The reason why I gathered everyone here is to discuss the upcoming war. We came up with an idea last month. We will gather all our forces and fight as one. The leading old man from the Moon Sect said. The rest of the experts from the other forces were deep in thought. Sect leader Yu, we agree with your idea. However, we hope that the armies of the various forces can be mixed together and fight as one, Sect leader Bei Chuan said after a moment of silence. Gathering all the armies together and then spreading them out would prevent the Moon Sect from giving up on a certain region or ordering the disciples of other forces to guard their own region. That's fine. Since we are united, we are one. The northern battlefront is also one. We will advance and retreat together. Even if we have to sacrifice some of our forces, all the forces will bear the losses. Sect leader Yu nodded his head. That's fine. We also want to protect our homeland. Sect leader Bei Chuan nodded his head and looked at the other forces. Agreed. Agreed. The Dragon Python Group and Ancient God Dynasty also nodded their heads. Sect leader Yu smiled and nodded his head. Suddenly, he looked at Wang Xian. Dragon King, can you send the forces from Dragon Peak over as well? Chapter 2657, Exciting Pop-Up Window for Free Reading. Ha! Wang Xian was taken aback when he heard the moon sect leader. The surrounding forces also slightly knitted their brows as they looked over with flickering eyes. Getting Dragon Palace to send Long Feng over to guard the northern line of defense. Dragon Palace must have obtained quite a number of abyssal crystals and resources in the previous few wars. Dragon Python Group even gave Dragon Palace 10% of their resources. Dragon Palace should join in as well. One of the Moon Sect elders spoke up faintly after the Moon Sect master spoke. You want Dragon Palace to send someone to guard with you? I'm sorry, Dragon Palace isn't a force on the demonic island. The northern line isn't our territory either. Wang Xian looked at the few people from the Moonlight Sect and shook his head in rejection. What a joke. Wang Xian couldn't possibly let Dragon Palace get involved in this war. There was no planet without Dragon Palace on the northern line. How could he defend it? Dragon King, you guys have obtained so many abyssal crystals here. Now that danger is approaching, you want to escape. How can there be such a good thing in this world? However, just as Wang Xian finished his sentence, Yu Xingguang, who was on the right, berated with a cold expression. Ever since Jiu Kai's Moon Bay was snatched away by Dragon King during the previous exchange and he was reprimanded by the Ice Goddess, he had lost a lot of face. He had always kept this grudge in his heart. Dragon King isn't a force on the northern line after all. You don't have the responsibility and obligation to guard this place for us. An authoritative figure from Dragon Python Group looked at Yu Xingxing and said hesitantly, Indeed. We are already grateful that Dragon King is willing to help us. Even if we are facing a great crisis, we can't drag others into this. Moreover, Dragon Palace has helped us before. Dragon King and the rest can decide the situation. We are already grateful that Dragon Palace is willing to help us. Experts from Beichuan Sect and Ancient Gods Dynasty chimed in as soon as the authoritative figure from Dragon Python Group finished his sentence. The three forces all owed the Dragon Palace a huge favor. At this time, they naturally had to speak up for Dragon Palace. If they didn't speak up now, they would be ingrates. Ha! When Yu Xingxing saw the group of experts speaking out, her expression changed slightly, not daring to interrupt anymore. In front of them, Sect Master Yu frowned slightly. He looked at the Dragon Python Corporation's Beichuan Sect and the Ancient God Dynasty. Since all the forces have said so, the Dragon Palace is free to decide. The Sect Master of the Moon Sect said expressionlessly. I'll say this up front. If the northern line really can't hold or if there's a need to fight to the death, don't take our Dragon Palace into consideration. We'll continue to act, but if we can't resist, we'll leave immediately. Wang Xian looked at them and spoke directly. Once he encountered danger, he would leave this place without hesitation and stay far away from danger. All right. The Moon Sect Master frowned slightly and nodded. On the side, some of the Moon Realm experts were slightly dissatisfied. Next, let's discuss the army's composition. Sect Master Yu said. Next, it was time to discuss the matter of fighting together. The disciples of the various forces gathered together and were responsible for guarding the various battlefronts. Moreover, the various forces formed a support legion. If the abyssal species were strong enough to exceed their resistance range, they would directly send people to support them. The various forces discussed for an hour or so. Dragon King, we'll thank you after the Battle of the Abyss. After the discussion, Wang Xian and the rest flew out of the beckoning moon planet. The experts from the Dragon Python Group, North Stream Sect, and Ancient God Dynasty said to Wang Xian politely, All right. Wang Xian nodded at them before flying towards the Dragon Peak. Sect Master, the Dragon Palace is obviously taking the opportunity to earn the abyssal crystals. They don't want to take any risks. They are too despicable and cunning. In the Palace of the Moon Sect, an elder couldn't help but comment when he saw the various forces leaving. Yeah, Sect Master. Moreover, the Ice Goddess didn't give us any face. Now, enough. Yu Xingguang spoke, but he was interrupted by the Moon Sect Master before he could finish his sentence. The rest immediately shut their mouths and didn't dare to continue their discussion. If the Dragon King isn't willing, North Stream Sect, Dragon Python Group, and Ancient God Dynasty owe the Dragon Palace a favor. We can't force it. Even if we know that the other party is after the abyssal crystals, the Dragon Palace can still reduce our losses. There's no need to make things difficult for the Dragon Palace. We can't do anything about it if the other party leaves. The Moon Sect Master waved his hand plainly. Prepare for the alliance. Yes. The experts from the Moon Sect nodded their heads. Other than Yu Xingguang, an elder, and a few deity kings who were dissatisfied with the Dragon Palace, most of the experts didn't have much of an opinion. Just as the sect master had said, they couldn't force it. Dragon King, how is it? How long will it take for the Dragon Peak to complete the transformation? At the same time, Wang Xian rushed to the Dragon Peak and asked Sky Formation with a smile. Although the Dragon Peak has a foundation, it will still take 7 to 8 days. Sky Formation replied. 7 to 8 days. We should be able to make it in time. Wang Xian nodded his head and looked at the abyss ahead. From time to time, roars could be heard from the abyss as countless abyssal species gathered. Based on the gathering speed of the abyssal species, a war would break out in 10 days at most. In the next few days, the entire northern front was reorganized. Compared to the past, the various legions were assigned more rationally to guard the planets. Moreover, in order to provide support as soon as possible, the Northern Front set up a teleportation formation for war to provide support in time. It could be said that the alliance at the Northern Front could at least reduce their losses by half. Naturally, the Dragon Palace didn't participate. Wang Xian stayed on the Dragon Peak for the past few days and learned some of Sky Formation's spirit arrays. Master, the Northern Front is preparing to launch an alliance attack tomorrow morning. On the afternoon of the 8th day, Wang Xian received a message from Bei Shuang. Is the war about to break out? Wang Xian mumbled to himself as he looked ahead with a smile. The Dragon Peak had been remodeled a few hours ago. After the remodeling, the power of the Dragon Peak had increased by more than 10 times. Get ready. The war is starting tomorrow. Let's see if we can get a big haul. Wang Xian joked with a smile. All right, Dragon King. Let the forces at the Northern Front witness our strength too. Sky Formation nodded confidently. Wang Xian smiled and looked inside the Dragon Peak. The enhancement this time was mainly to enhance the strength of the Heaven's Eye Arrow unit and Mysterious Demon, followed by the Starwood Dragon species. On the Arrow platform below, there were tens of thousands of immortal God King archers. Next, it was time to show their true strength. Chapter 2658. All soldiers at the Northern Front, get ready. The next morning, a roar filled with fighting spirit resounded through the skies of the Northern Front. In front of a few thousand planets at the Northern Front, countless experts and disciples stood in a row. 4 major factions, one of which was at the level of a major sect, while the other smaller factions numbered in the hundreds. It could be said that there were over 100,000 Immortal King experts at the Northern Front. As for the Abyss species, they were not any weaker than the humans. There were even 4 level 9 Immortal King Abyss species, comparable to the number on the moon. Every day, there would be millions of Abyss species. Hence, today, the factions at the Northern Front had decided to attack. Kill. In the next instant, a deafening roar resounded, and a powerful aura filled the entire void. Move out. At the border of the Northern Front, Wang Xian stood on the command platform of Dragon Peak, his eyes fixed on the battlefield. This was a war, a truly tragic war. Human lives were worthless. Dragon King, according to Miss Bei Shuang, there are 4 level 9 Immortal King Abyss species and 18 level 8 Immortal King Abyss species. The Moon Beckoning Planet is the main battlefield. Also, there are a total of 20 level 8 Abyss species over at Beichuan Sect. Tianjin stood at the side and reported to Wang Xian. The message that Bei Shuang had sent was also sent by the great sect of the Moon Sect. Dragon Palace's move was beneficial to the entire Northern Front. 20 level 8 Immortal King Abyss species? Then let's push through. Wang Xian's eyes flashed as he said. The closest to them were Beichuan Sect and the other smaller factions. In the center was Moon Sect, and further away were the Dragon Python Corporation and Ancient God Dynasty. With Dragon Palace's current strength, they could easily push through. Dragon King, with just our strength, we might be able to resolve the threat at the Northern Front. Tianjin said with a smile. That's possible. Wang Xian's face was filled with confidence. Including him, Dragon Palace had a total of 6 level 9 Immortal King Realm experts. Most importantly, Tianjin's Dragon Peak could use the power of the array to kill 3 level 9 Immortal King Realm experts. With the help of the array, Dragon Peak could easily deal with 5 to 6 level 9 Immortal King Realm experts. In other words, the Dragon Palace could fight against 10 Ninth Order Immortal King Realm expert. With such strength, as long as the Dragon Palace was given enough time, it would be enough to destroy all the abyssal species in the Northern Abyss. Boom! Activating the Dragon Peak, it directly entered the abyss ahead. About 1,000 kilometers ahead of them, the battle had already broken out. Even though they were at the edge, there were still a dozen undying God-King level abyssal species and 1 million ordinary abyssal species clashing with the Northern Army. In the blink of an eye, thousands of corpses appeared. All members of the Heaven's Eye Arrow unit, get ready. All Starwood dragons, prepare to collect the corpses of the abyssal species. Mao Zedong and Ao Xingmu's voices rang out. On the Arrow platform, the members of the Heaven's Eye Arrow division stood there and stared ahead. Dragon Palace's Dragon Peak is here. Are they going to help us? The huge Dragon Peak instantly attracted the attention of the army that was fighting against the abyssal species. The dozen undying God Kings looked over and were stunned. Everyone from the Dragon Palace, we don't need any help here. You can enter the central area to fight against the more powerful abyss species. A powerhouse from a crescent moon sect frowned slightly and immediately shouted. He heard from some experts that the reason why the Dragon Palace was willing to kill the abyssal species was to obtain their corpses. Originally, they wanted to pull the Dragon Palace in, but the Dragon King didn't agree. The Dragon King said that everything was for the abyssal species. If they encountered danger, they would immediately escape. This made some of the Moon Sect's experts unhappy, not willing to take the risk and still wanted to obtain the abyssal species crystals. Although they were helping them, some were still unhappy. The situation here wasn't dangerous, they could handle it themselves. The Dragon Palace could enter more places with the abyssal species. It was too much to kill a few abyssal species just to obtain their corpses. Fire. On the Arrow platform, Mao Zedong didn't care. What a joke. Did the Dragon Palace need to explain to them? As long as the Dragon Palace helped, the Northern Front should be grateful. Yes. The group of abyssal species had already entered the attack range of the Heaven's Eye Arrow division members. In the next moment, millions of arrows locked onto the abyssal species. So many arrows, the Dragon Palace is attacking. When the sound of arrows could be heard, everyone in the abyss battlefield looked over in shock. Arrows streaked across the void of the abyss. Fut, fut, fut. In the next second, everyone in front was stunned. As for the humans who were fighting against the abyss species, their opponents were instantly pierced by the arrows. Even the dozen undying God King level abyssal species were instantly killed. In the next moment, the roars of the abyssal species in the sky disappeared. Everyone guarding the area was dumbfounded. Su, su, su. In the next second, the Dragon Peak had already arrived at their side. Thorns reached out and directly collected the corpses. Millions of abyssal species instantly disappeared. Just when they were stunned, the Dragon Peak had also pulled away from them by millions of kilometers. Gulp, I always knew that the Dragon Palace was strong, but isn't this too fierce? Instantly killing millions of abyssal species. Hiss, this is the strength of the Dragon Palace. No wonder the Dragon Python Corporation gave Dragon Palace 10% shares. Too strong, damn, too fierce. Maybe the Dragon Palace was just passing by and killed millions of abyssal species. The disciples guarding here opened their eyes wide and couldn't help but shout. Let's go, the abyssal species here have been killed, let's go to other places to support. The dozen undying God Kings opened their mouths and said. That 1 second just now was too shocking. The arrows of the Dragon Palace's archers instantly killed all the abyss species. This archer was too terrifying. Let's go to the side. Under the orders of a dozen undying God Kings, the group of people flew towards the direction ahead. There are millions of abyssal species ahead too. instantly killing millions of abyssal species. Wang Xian and the rest weren't surprised. After all, the abyssal species at the border were slightly weaker. Most importantly, among the 35,000 Heaven's Eye Arrow unit members, there were over 10,000 undying god kings. Instantly killing millions was too easy. Continue, instant kill, Wang Xian said faintly. This time, when they were 50 million kilometers away from a planet, arrows streaked across the starry sky of the abyss. Chapter 2659, Kill. In front of the northern border planet, millions of northern disciples were clenching their teeth as they fought against the abyssal species. The crisis on the Demon Island this time could be said to have affected everyone. Those who were on a peaceful planet were instantly disrupted. On the battlefield, killing was unavoidable. Some cowardly disciples had already fallen. Those who remained were those who had experienced several wars. Even so, each war was a dance on the blade's edge. No one knew if they could survive. As long as they fought with all they had, only by becoming stronger could they have a chance of survival. Roars could be heard. In the Northern Alliance, the humans were more powerful than the abyssal species. This made it easier for them. Even if it was easier, 1 out of 10 would die in a war. Swish, swish, swish. However, right at this moment, a series of sonic booms suddenly rang out. Some people and abyssal species were shocked and quickly looked to the right. This is. Everyone was shocked when they saw the sky full of arrows. Some revealed a horrified expression. PFFF, PFFF, PFFF. But soon, a few faster arrows pierced through the abyssal species at the undying god king level. A few experts who were fighting against the abyssal species felt their faces burning as blood dripped onto their faces. They looked ahead blankly. Roar. A few abyssal species with stronger vitality let out a blood-curdling scream before they died. PFFF, PFFF, PFFF. Before they could react, the abyssal species in front of them were pierced by the arrows. The ferocious abyssal species had all lost their voices. Rumble, rumble, rumble. At this moment, they heard a rumbling sound. From afar, they could see a huge mountain with a dragon entrenched in it flying towards them. And on the mountain, there were 2 huge words, Dragon Peak. It's Dragon Peak and Dragon Palace. So strong, Dragon Palace is so strong. Exclamations of shock and astonishment could be heard. Everyone was shocked beyond words. Swish, swish, swish. Soon, Dragon Peak was not far from them. Thorns instantly swept away all the abyssal species' corpses. Dragon Palace is so strong, Dragon Palace is awesome. Ha ha ha, that's awesome. Thank you for your help, experts of Dragon Palace. Some experts and disciples couldn't help but roar in excitement. Wang Xian stood on the podium with his lips drawn. Long Feng didn't waste any time dealing with the abyss species here. It was as simple as stepping on some ants. Dragon Peak continued forward. Soon, he arrived at another battlefield. Another instant kill. Long Feng advanced with an unstoppable momentum. He pushed them sideways. What's going on? The abyss species on your side have also been wiped out by the Dragon Palace. A minute later, a dozen undying god kings flew over and saw the empty abyss. Some people had already returned to the outside of the abyss and asked in astonishment. The Dragon Palace passed by here and swept them away. The archers of the Dragon Palace are invincible. An expert said excitedly as he went over to welcome the dozen of them with a face full of joy. Gulp. With the strength of the Dragon Palace, it should be able to wipe out all the abyssal species at the edge. Let's go and report the situation here to the masters. The dozen or so god kings exchanged glances and silently flew out of the abyss. The Dragon Palace was just passing by them to wipe out some abyssal species. At the center of the beckoning moon planet, deafening roars could be heard. Compared to the edge, this place was a meat grinder. Strange, those 4 rank 9 immortal king abyssal species did not attack, but locked onto us. Within the abyss, the 4 rank 9 immortal king experts stood together, staring at the 4 rank 9 immortal king abyssal species from afar. They seemed to be restraining the high-end combat strength of both sides. It's a little strange, but the stronger abyssal species have higher intelligence. They might know that fighting with us won't end well. The 4 of them hovered in the air, locking onto the 4-rank 9 immortal king abyssal species, preventing them from attacking. Sect leader, old ancestor. At this time, a figure flew over from behind and called out to the 4 of them. Speak. Sect leader spat out a word without turning his head. Sect leader, there's news from the edge of the abyss. The Dragon Palace's long phone is flying towards us from the edge. Along the way, they have already killed over a dozen abyssal species. The number of abyssal species that died in the hands of the Dragon Palace has reached 20 million. Our soldiers from over a dozen battlefields have been freed. The figure reported to the sect leader and the rest. They cleared over a dozen battlefields in such a short time? One of the old ancestors exclaimed. They're very strong. According to the soldiers stationed there were over 70 immortal king-level abyssal species and 2 million other abyssal species. However, they were instantly killed by the archers of the Dragon Palace. 2 million abyssal species were instantly killed. The reporting middle-aged man said in shock. The archers of the Dragon Palace are indeed strong. The strength they used this time is much stronger than the previous few times. This Dragon Palace is not simple. Instantly killing over 70 abyssal species and 2 million ordinary abyssal species. This time, the Dragon Palace should have sent over 10,000 God King level expert. The few old ancestors of the Moon sect were also shocked. The strength that the Dragon Palace had sent out had shocked them. Send the soldiers from those places to another place as reinforcements. Sect leader said. Yes, sect leader. The reporting middle-aged man nodded and immediately flew out of the abyss. Suddenly, a loud roar could be heard from the front. The Moon sect leader and the rest were shocked and looked ahead. What are they doing? The 4 of them looked over and were shocked. In the depths of the abyss, 4 immortal king level 9 abyssal species turned around and looked deeper into the abyss. The 4 abyssal species let out a roar in unison. Ga ga ga. Woo woo. However, at this moment, a soft roar could be heard. The roar was not because the aura was weak, but because it was too far away. It was at least a few billion kilometers away. Oh no. Not good, a powerful abyssal species is coming from the depth. At this moment, the Moon sect leader and the rest were shocked as they stared into the abyss. To be able to respond to 4 immortal king level 9 abyssal species, it must be of the same level. Deep in the abyss, there were abyssal species of the same level flying over. The 4 of them were slightly embarrassed. Chapter 2660. There was no pop-up window for free reading. What's that sound? Those roars are a response to the 4 9th level immortal king realm existences. Oh no, I have a bad feeling about this. In front of the moon beckoning planet, the experts in the abyss battlefield heard the roars and their expressions changed as they looked towards the depths of the abyss battlefield. Kill. Don't be distracted. We will deal with any 9th level immortal king realm existences. The sect master of the Moon sect shouted with a cold expression. Yes, sect leader. The group of experts and disciples responded immediately as they fought against the abyss species. At the same time, as Dragon Peak neared Beichuan sect's territory, Wang Xian and Tianzhen raised their brows as they looked towards the depths of the abyss battlefield. Wang. Tianzhen waved his hand and a screen filled with red dots appeared in front of them. Unlike the previous screen, the current screen looked much bigger. This is. Wang Xian looked over as his eyes flickered. He could see a large number of red dots flying towards them from the edge of the screen. Dragon King, a large number of abyss species are charging over. The 4 red dots are 9th level immortal king realm abyssal species. Tianzhen reported to Wang Xian. What about the other levels? Wang Xian's eyes flickered as he looked at the densely packed black dots. There are over 100 8th level abyssal species and over 600 7th level abyssal species. Tianzhen's eyes flickered. In 3 minutes, this army of abyss species will enter the battlefield. 3 minutes. Looks like the northern line is in trouble. Wang Xian murmured. However, these abyss species will not affect us. Instead, they will give us a huge boost in strength. Soon, his lips curved into a smile. Beichuan sect's territory is right in front. We are approaching the central region. There will be 8th level immortal king realm abyssal species here. Tianjin stared ahead and said to Wang Xian, "Kill them quickly." Wang Xian stared at the abyss species and ordered coldly, "Yes." The group of Dragon Palace members replied, "The Dragon Palace's Dragon Peak is here. The abyss species on our side are going to be annihilated. Ha ha ha, Dragon King is here. All undying God Kings, help Dragon Palace kill the abyss race." When the huge Dragon Peak flew over, the group of experts in front of the North Chuan clan's territory saw it and their faces lit up with excitement. The Dragon Python group, Beichuan sect, and Ancient God dynasty were especially grateful to the Dragon Palace. They had just received news that the Dragon Palace was sweeping over at a terrifying speed. What they didn't expect was that the Dragon Palace would arrive in just half an hour. "Dragon King, experts of Dragon Palace, let us deal with that undying God King level 8 abyss seed." A Laozu from the North Chuan sect shouted at Wang Xian and the rest immediately. At the same time, his gaze locked onto an undying God King rank 8 abyss species, filled with fighting spirit. Whoosh! However, at this moment, the sound of arrows striking could be heard. The speed of the arrows startled him slightly. Pu. In the next instant, he was completely stunned as he stared blankly at the undying God King rank 8 abyss species he had locked onto. That arrow pierced through the head of that rank 8 abyss species. The huge abyss species floated in the air blankly, its body slowly falling to the side. This, his eyes were wide open, filled with shock. One arrow killed an undying God King rank 8 abyss species. This was not something that could be done by someone at the same level. Dragon Palace has an undying God King rank 9 expert. He opened his mouth slightly. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. At this moment, a rain of arrows rained down on them. What terrifying power! The North Chuan sect old ancestor felt the power of the rain of arrows, his eyes filled with shock. If the rain of arrows locked onto him, he would not be able to survive. Pu. Countless arrows pierced through the abyss species, causing hundreds of thousands of them to fall. This was a terrifying massacre. Hiss, look, that undying God King rank 8 abyss species was killed by Dragon Palace. What a terrifying rain of arrows, we have over 200 undying God King rank abyss species on our side. At this time, the experts at the back also sensed the situation and exclaimed in shock. How many powerful archers did Dragon Palace send this time? Dragon Palace has an undying God King rank 9 expert. Some questions appeared in their minds. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. At this time, Dragon Peak arrived, its thorny vines sweeping up the corpses of the abyss species. With regards to Dragon Palace's actions, the rest naturally had no objections. Many thanks to Dragon Palace for lending a hand. The North Chuan sect old ancestor cupped his fists and thanked them. "You're welcome, prepare yourselves, there's a group of powerful abyssal species coming from the depths of the abyss." Wang Xian stood on the command platform, glancing at the red dot on the array as he reminded them. There's a large number of abyssal species coming from the abyss. The experts from the various forces did not doubt Wang Xian's words at all. Their faces were solemn. "Continue, let's get closer to the center." Wang Xian did not linger here, only by getting closer to the center would he be able to kill more abyssal species. Boom boom boom. Dragon Peak sped forward, and soon arrived at another battlefield. But at this time, a series of violent roars came from the depths of the abyss. Almost there. Wang Xian looked over, and with his vision, he could already see a terrifying army flying over. The army stretched for tens of billions of kilometers, densely packed with abyssal species, giving off a menacing and bloody aura. It could be said that the number of abyssal species charging over was about the same as the number of abyssal species fighting with the humans. The number of abyssal species had doubled. Not good, more abyssal species are flying over, so many. SSS, what's going on? Why are there suddenly so many abyssal species? Oh no. In front of the battlefield, all the humans saw this scene, and their faces paled. All reinforcements, get ready to support. All disciples, be fearless, kill this group of beast. Rank 9 undying God King abyssal species, we'll hold them off. From the center, the sect leaders of the Moon sect and the rest roared. The reinforcements of the northern battlefront immediately moved. Settle the abyssal species in front, Mao Zesen. Lure a few rank 9 undying God King abyssal species over. Wang Xian looked into the abyss and ordered, "Yes. Kill." All the members of Dragon Palace licked their lips and stared ahead with fighting spirit. Chapter 2661, Roar in the depths of the abyss. Billions of abyss species roared and charged towards the northern front. Roar, roar. At the northern front, all the abyss species that were fighting with the humans let out excited roars. The abyss species became even more frenzied. Roar, roar. In front of the moon-beckoning planet, the 4 immortal king abyss species were filled with excitement and madness as they charged forward. They're making their move, let's kill them. When the moon sect leader and the other 3 saw this, they let out a deep roar and charged forward. The war had erupted. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. However, at this time, in the center of the abyss, there were 4 abnormally berserk and powerful undying God King Type 9 abyss species staring ahead. Their gazes swept across the planets at the northern front, their eyes filled with excitement and greed. All of a sudden, a terrifying arrow shot towards the 4 undying God King stage abyss species with immense power. Ga ga ga. One of them was an abyss species with a few thousand-meter-long bone wings and an undying God King abyss species that looked like an underworld snake. When they saw the arrows flying towards them, their eyes flashed with rage. Boom boom. A wave of terrifying energy landed on the arrow, causing it to crumble. Whoosh. But at this moment, another arrow flew over. Ga ga. Roar roar. The abyss species with bone wings and a nether snake immortal king abyss species were infuriated. They roared at the other 2 and charged towards the direction of the arrow. Ga ga ga. Behind them, the 2 abyss species followed. A total of 40 to 50 million abyss species flew over. Dragon King, only 2 of them are here. Mao Zesen saw this and immediately reported to Wang Xian. 2, that's enough. Let's deal with the abyss species here first. Wang Xian swept his gaze across and revealed a faint smile. 2 would do too. Kill, the experts from Dragon Palace are here to assist. There are abyss species here. Let's kill them all first. At the front, one of the Type 8 powerhouses of the Dragon Python group swept a glance over and ordered loudly. Kill. Kill. The disciples in this area immediately shouted loudly. Su su su. Before they could charge over, the arrows had already begun to reap the harvest. One by one, the abyss species were quickly hunted down. 2 of the 8th order undying God King realm abyss beasts were instantly killed by the hundreds of arrows. So powerful. The experts sent by the Dragon Palace are much stronger than before. When the expert from the Dragon Python group saw this, his eyes were filled with excitement. The Dragon Palace is invincible. Dragon Palace is awesome. Ha ha ha, with the Dragon Palace's Dragon King around, we can annihilate this bunch of beasts. Some disciples of the Dragon Python group, Beichuan sect, an ancient god dynasty looked excited when they saw this. They were very confident in the strength of the Dragon Palace. Ga ga ga. Just at this moment, a deafening roar resounded, startling the excited crowd. Oh no, those powerful abyssal species are rushing towards us. Hiss, what a terrifying sound. What level are the 2 abyssal species at? Shit, that's. Hearing the 2 roars, everyone looked towards the depths of the abyss. They suddenly realized that there was a group of terrifying abyssal species flying towards them. Especially the 2 abyssal species at the front. Even from afar, they could feel their towering aura. Everyone's face changed. The 8th order immortal king realm expert from the Dragon Python group narrowed his eyes, requesting for reinforcements. Get the peak experts from the moon sect to come over immediately. There are 9th order immortal king realm abyss species here. His eyes widened as he shouted towards the back. What? The middle-aged man who answered the call was shocked when he heard the words of the Dragon Python group expert. On the battlefield, the faces of the disciples changed drastically. They're not really coming towards us, are they? This. In an instant, everyone's foreheads were filled with cold sweat as they stared blankly in front of them. Under the lead of the 2 9th order immortal king realm abyss species, the tens of millions of abyssal species charged towards them. Feeling the pressure, they could already predict that they would become food for the abyssal species. This, Can the Dragon Palace and the others stop these abyssal species? One of the Eternal God Lord disciples could not help but ask. The surroundings were silent, and everyone's foreheads were filled with cold sweat. Could the Dragon Palace? Based on the strength that the Dragon Palace had displayed, they could fight against an 8th Order Immortal King Realm expert. But now, there were 2 9th Order Immortal King Realm Abyss species. They could sense at least 15 to 16 8th Order Immortal King Realm Abyss species. How could they stop them? Father, are we going to die? In the void above the abyss, a youth looked at his father beside him and mumbled. Gulp. The middle-aged man beside him swallowed his saliva, his arm that was holding onto his weapon was trembling. There was no reply. Get ready. Boom boom boom. The heavenly formation saw the tens of millions of abyssal species charging towards them. Among them, there were more than 15,000 undying god kings. His eyes flashed with excitement. The dragon peak let out a loud roar as it turned around and faced the abyssal species. At the entrance of the dragon peak, Ao Fenghuang, Ao Xingmu, and Mao Zesen stood there. As for Ao Yao, he was already hidden in the void. Their eyes were fixed on the 2 9th Order Immortal King Realm Abyss species. Wang. At the same time, the abyssal species were slowly covered by thorns, forming 3 thorny monsters. The huge dragon peak faced the abyssal species majestically. Kill. When the tens of millions of abyssal species entered the attacking range, the command rang out. Su, su, su. Countless arrows instantly shot towards the densely packed abyssal species. Roar, roar, roar. Kakaka. In the next instant, the 2 leading 9th Order Immortal King Realm Abyss species let out a roar. One of them flapped its huge bone wings, and 2 bone spikes formed from the Law of Darkness shot towards the dragon peak with terrifying might. The other one looked like an underworld snake, with a black horn on its head. A black radiance surged from its horn, and it also shot towards the dragon peak. Behind, the tens of millions of abyssal species also launched their long-range attacks. Boundless energy surged towards the Dragon Palace. Quite strong. Wang Xian looked at the boundless energy in front of him and was slightly shocked. Even 2 or 3 9th Order Immortal King Realm experts might not be able to defend against such energy. This energy. Behind, everyone's faces turned pale. Chapter 2662, All Experts and Disciples, Retreat. We will reinforce the other areas. The Type 8 expert from the Dragon Python group looked at the battle in front of him in shock. He sighed and said, Dragon Palace's strength had exceeded his expectations. To be able to fight against undying God King Abyss species, Dragon Palace might not be any weaker than Yu. They had nothing else to do at the back. The sudden change in the battle caused countless Abyss species to fly out. Fortunately, there were experts from Dragon Palace here, but what about the other areas? The pressure at the other areas would definitely increase. Yes. The group of disciples took a look at the front and immediately flew to the back. Sir, the Central Region, Ancient God Dynasty Region, Dragon Python Group Region are all requesting reinforcement. The moment the group flew out of the abyss, the middle-aged man who was in charge of the call reported with an ugly expression. Is that so? The experts' expressions turned ugly. Let's go to the nearest region, let's kill our way over. The Type 8 expert from the Dragon Python group said solemnly. The group immediately teleported to the battlefield at the side. Pu. At this time, on the battlefield, roving demon's claws pierced through the already injured Type 9 Abyss species, killing it instantly. One left, the rest will be simple. After killing one, roving demon said casually, not even bothering to conceal himself. 6 against 1, it was simple. Let's finish them off quickly. Ao Xingmu said faintly. A series of thorny vines that were like dragons and snakes struck towards the abyss species with bone wings. Ao. The abyss species let out a few roars of fear, wanting to escape. But the chances of it escaping was close to 0. 5 minutes later, the second Type 9 abyss species died in the hands of Ao Xingmu and the rest. Since then, the battle had only lasted for 10 minutes. Around them, the tens of millions of abyss species had been killed, and only 10 million were left. Let's go, kill these 10 million abyss species. Ao Fenghuang roared, as a terrifying attack enveloped the area ahead. Endless flames and lightning shot out, and millions of abyss species were instantly killed. Keek! Ao Xingmu laughed lightly, as the sky full of thorns pierced through the abyss species. Following which, the millions of abyss species were all killed in less than 2 minutes. In the sky, a dense number of abyss species floated. Quickly collect the corpses and continue forward. Wang Xian shouted softly. The members of the Dragon Palace immediately kept the corpses into the Dragon Chamber of the Dragon Palace through their god countries. Boom boom! All the members of the Dragon Palace returned to the Dragon Peak. The huge Dragon Peak continued to advance towards the battlefield ahead. 5 minutes later, a battlefield appeared in front of them. The experts from the Dragon Palace are here. Haha, they actually killed tens of millions of abyss species so quickly. Our side is going to be liberated. What speed, 2 undying God King level abyss species, they were actually killed so quickly. Dragon Palace is truly invincible. The Dragon Palace is here. Ha ha ha, seeing Long Feng of the Dragon Palace is even more intimate than seeing my own father. When some of the people on the battlefield saw Long Feng flying over, they were extremely excited. Just a while ago, the 5 to 6 million people from the other battlefields flew over, shouting excitedly that Dragon Palace was hunting undying God King level 9 abyss species. If there were Type 8 powerhouses among the millions of people, it was naturally not a lie. The soldiers on the battlefield were also shocked by the strength of the Dragon Palace. Now that they saw Long Feng, they were even closer than their own fathers. After all, at this time, even their own fathers could not save them, but Dragon Palace could definitely protect their lives. Master! Bei Shuang, who was guarding the area, saw Long Feng flying over, and her eyes lit up. Pu. At this time, following the arrival of Dragon Palace, 3 arrows also arrived in front of one of the undying God King level 8 abyss species beside Bei Shuang. Hoo. Sensing the terrifying speed and energy of the 3 arrows, the abyss species revealed a look of fear. Ao. It hurriedly dodged to the side, but the 3 arrows sealed off its escape route. 2 of the arrows pierced through its body, and the law energy killed it instantly. So strong. Bei Shuang, who was in front of him, was slightly startled. Then, a look of pleasant surprise appeared on his face. Her body flashed, and she immediately flew towards Long Feng. Ha ha ha, did you see that? An undying God King level 8 abyss species, insta-killed. The Type 8 expert from the Dragon Python group saw this, and laughed out loud. Dragon King is invincible. Long live Dragon Palace. The rest of the disciples cheered with fighting spirit. Only a level 9 undying God King could kill a Type 8 in an instant. Kill. In the next instant, the sounds of the arrows covered the cheers of the people around. Ao Xingmu and Ao Fenghuang flew out from Long Feng, killing without restraint. Dragon Palace does not only have that archer, look at those 2 experts that just flew out, they're undying God King level 2. That's for sure, since Dragon Palace could kill 2 undying God King level 9 abyss species, they naturally have more than one Type 9 expert. Ao Fenghuang and Ao Xingmu's attacks shocked everyone once again. Master. Bei Shuang flew over, smiling as she asked. How's the situation in other places? Wang Xian asked. Master, the sudden appearance of the abyss species has increased the pressure everywhere. However, with Master's help, it should be able to alleviate the pressure. Bei Shuang chuckled. Is that so? That's the central area, right? The main territory of the Moon Sect. Wang Xian raised a brow. Yes, I heard that the Moon Sect has 6 immortal King level 9 abyss species, and they're under a lot of pressure. Bei Shuang nodded. They have 4 immortal King level 9 experts, they should be able to hold on. Wang Xian said plainly. Wang Xian did not have a good impression of the Moon Sect, but he did not have a bad impression of them either. We should be able to clear them in 3 minutes. He looked at the battlefield and said. Ao Fenghuang, Ao Xingmu and the rest made their move, and the speed of the massacre increased. The number of abyss species was decreasing at a terrifying rate. Alright, follow me to other places to provide support. 3 minutes later, the millions of abyss species were all killed, and the members of Dragon Palace kept the corpses. Long Feng started flying towards the left side of the northern line. However, this time, Long Feng did not travel within the abyss, but out of it. He did not intend to help the Moon Sect for the time being. All in all, Dragon Palace was closer to the ancient God Dynasty and Dragon Python Corporation, and he would naturally head to their territories first. As for the Moon Sect, they would be the last. Chapter 2663, All Experts and Disciples, Retreat. We will go and support the other places. The Type 8 powerhouse of the Dragon Python group watched the battle with some shock, as he said after a moment of silence. Dragon Palace's strength had far exceeded his expectations. They could even fight against an undying God King Stage 9 Abyss species. Dragon Palace might not be any weaker than Yu. There was nothing for them to do in the rear. Due to the sudden change in the war, countless Abyss species flew out from the depths of the Abyss. Fortunately, there were experts from the Dragon Palace here, but what about other places? The pressure in other places would probably multiply. Yes. The group of disciples took a look at the front and immediately flew back. My lord, the Central Region, the Ancient God Dynasty, and the Dragon Python group are all requesting reinforcement. As soon as the group flew out of the abyss, the middle-aged man who answered the call immediately said with an ugly expression. Really? The experts' faces turned ugly. Let's go to the nearest area. Let's kill our way over. The Type 8 powerhouse of the Dragon Python group growled in a low voice. The group immediately teleported to the battlefield. Right at this time, in the Undying God King battlefield, Roving Demon's claw pierced through the already heavily injured Type 9 Abyss Seed, instantly killing him. There's only one left. The rest will be simple. After killing one, Roving Demon said in a relaxed manner. He did not even bother to hide himself. 6 against 1, very simple. Let's settle this as soon as possible. Ao Xingmu said faintly. A series of thorny vines that were like dragons and snakes struck towards the abyss species with bone wings. Ao! The abyssal species let out a roar in fear, wanting to escape. However, the possibility of escaping was 0. 5 minutes later, the second Type 9 abyss species died in the hands of Ao Xingmu and the rest. Since then, the war had only broken out for 10 minutes. In the surrounding area, the tens of millions of abyssal species had been hunted down to only slightly more than 10 million. Attack! Exterminate these 10 million abyssal species. Ao Fenghuang bellowed as a terrifying attack engulfed everything in front of him. Endless flames and lightning slanted, and millions of abyssal species were instantly killed. Hee. Ao Xingmu chuckled lightly. The sky full of thorns pierced through the abyssal species. Next, the tens of millions of abyssal species were killed in less than 2 minutes. In the void, densely packed abyssal species were floating. Quickly collect the corpses and continue forward. Wang Xian shouted softly. The members of the Dragon Palace immediately kept the corpses into the Dragon Chamber of the Dragon Palace through their god countries. Boom boom. All the members of the Dragon Palace returned to the Dragon Peak. The huge Dragon Peak continued to advance towards the battlefield ahead. 5 minutes later, a battlefield appeared in front of them. The experts from the Dragon Palace are here. Haha, they actually killed tens of millions of abyss species so quickly. Our side is going to be liberated. What speed? 2 Undying God King level abyss species, they were actually killed so quickly. Dragon Palace is truly invincible. The Dragon Palace is here. Ha. Seeing Long Feng of the Dragon Palace is even more intimate than seeing my own father. When some of the people on the battlefield saw Long Feng flying over, they were extremely excited. Just a while ago, the 5 to 6 million people from the other battlefields flew over, shouting excitedly that Dragon Palace was hunting Undying God King level 9 abyss species. If there were Type 8 powerhouses among the millions of people, it was naturally not a lie. Towards the strength of the Dragon Palace, the soldiers on the battlefield were also extremely shocked. Now that they saw Long Feng, they were even closer than their own fathers. After all, even their own fathers could not save them now. But Dragon Palace would definitely be able to protect their lives. Master. Bei Shuang, who was guarding the area, saw Long Feng flying over and her eyes lit up. At this time, along with the arrival of Dragon Palace, 3 arrows also arrived in front of one of the Undying God King level 8 Abyss species. Roar roar. Sensing the terrifying speed and power of the 3 arrows, the Abyss species revealed a look of fear. Ayo ayo. It hurriedly dodged to the side, but the 3 arrows completely sealed off its escape route. 2 of the arrows pierced its body, and the power of the laws instantly killed it. So strong. Bei Shuang, who was in front of him, was slightly startled. Then, a look of pleasant surprise appeared on his face. She moved and immediately flew towards the Dragon Peak. Ha ha ha, did you see that? Undying God King level 8 Abyss species, insta-killed. The Type 8 expert from the Dragon Python Corporation laughed out loud when he saw this. The Dragon King is invincible. Long live Dragon Palace. The rest of the disciples cheered with fighting spirit. Only a level 9 Undying God King could kill a Type 8 in an instant. Kill. In the next instant, the sounds of the arrows covered the cheers of the crowd. Ao Xingmu and Ao Fenghuang flew out from Long Feng, killing without restraint. That archer is not the only level 9 Undying God King in Dragon Palace. Look at the 2 experts that just flew out, they are 2. That's for sure. If Dragon Palace can kill 2 level 9 Undying God King level Abyss species, they naturally have more than one Type 9 expert. Ao Fenghuang and Ao Xingmu's attacks shocked everyone once again. Master. Bei Shuang flew over and asked with a smile. How's the situation in other places? Wang Xian asked. Master, the sudden appearance of the Abyss species has increased the pressure everywhere. However, with Master's help, it should be able to alleviate the pressure. Bei Shuang smiled. Is that so? Isn't that the central area? The main territory of the Crescent Moon sect? Wang Xian raised an eyebrow. Yes, I heard that the Crescent Moon sect has 6 level 9 Undying God King Abyss species, and they are under a lot of pressure. Bei Shuang nodded. They have 4 level 9 Undying God King experts, they should be able to hold on. Wang Xian said plainly. Wang Xian did not have a good impression of the Crescent Moon sect, but he did not have a bad impression either. We should be able to clear them in 3 minutes. He looked at the battlefield and said. Ao Fenghuang, Ao Xingmu and the rest made their move, and the speed of the massacre increased. The number of Abyss species was decreasing at a terrifying rate. Alright, follow me to other places to provide support. 3 minutes later, the millions of Abyss species were all killed, and the members of Dragon Palace kept the corpses. Long Feng started flying towards the left side of the northern line. However, this time, Long Feng did not travel within the abyss, but out. He did not intend to help the Crescent Moon sect for now. In conclusion, Dragon Palace was closer to the ancient god dynasty and Dragon Python Corporation, and he naturally had to go to their territories first. As for the Crescent Moon sect, they would be the last. Chapter 2664. This is the true strength of the Dragon Palace. 3 minutes. In just 3 minutes, they cleared out the Abyss demons. Is this the true strength of the Dragon Palace? This is not the true strength of the Dragon Palace. They have yet to display their full strength. When Dragon Peak drove off, the experts and disciples in this region sighed as they watched the rapidly disappearing Dragon Peak. One of the Moon Sect's elders looked deeply at Long Feng's figure. The scene just now was too shocking to him. Thinking back to a few days ago, their Moon Sect had wanted the Dragon Palace to defend this place with them. The Dragon Palace did not agree, but sent out a 9th Order Immortal King Realm expert to kill countless Abyss demons, including 2 9th Order Immortal King Realm Abyss demons. Even the Moon Sect had not achieved such a feat, right? Moreover, he wondered if the Dragon Palace was more powerful than the great sects of the First Moon. If the Moon Sect had sent the Dragon Palace to defend this place, the outcome would have been tragic. Gather all the disciples. We will go to the central region to reinforce. You Great Sect's elder, the expert from the Dragon Python group, as well as a Type 8 expert from the North River sect exchanged glances and said, "Let's go to the central region. It's the most tragic place right now." The North Stream sect's old ancestor nodded. The Dragon King and the rest should have gone to the central region, right? Next to him, an expert from a Moon Sect guessed. All disciples, Get ready to head to the central region through the teleportation array. The Moon Great Sect Elder immediately ordered. Following that, the group flew towards the teleportation array. Wung, wung, wung. The teleportation speed was much faster than Long Feng's. When they reached the central region, Long Feng had yet to arrive. Third Elder, why are all of you here? The middle-aged man who answered the call asked in shock when he saw the Third Elder leading over 10 million people. The Dragon King led the experts to help us kill all the Abyss demons. Our side has been liberated. The Moon Sect's Third Elder said. What? How is that possible? The sect master said that Third Elder and your side might be in danger because 2 Ninth Order Immortal King Realm Abyss demons flew over, and now? The middle-aged man who answered the phone was slightly shocked and asked in disbelief. The experts of Dragon Palace have destroyed it. All right, all disciples enter the battlefield. Fight. The Moon Sect's Third Elder didn't say anything more. Looking at the tragic battlefield in the center, his expression was slightly awkward. They had the most disciples guarding this place, but they had also sacrificed the most. Fortunately, the Dragon Palace had liberated a lot of places at the beginning. Tens of millions of people rushed over and barely resisted the Abyss species. Now, with their help, they should be able to stabilize the situation. If Dragon Palace's Long Feng came, it would be time for a massacre. Third bro, are you able to come and help us? Seeing the tens of millions of people rush into the battlefield, a Moon Elder who was fighting at the front looked delighted and asked with excitement and surprise. Ha ha ha, the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace has led experts to deal with the Abyss species on our side. Brothers, hold on, we're coming to help you. The Third Elder of the Moon let out a loud laugh and roared. What? How is it possible that the Dragon Palace destroyed the Abyss species on Third Brother's side? Some of the elders were slightly startled, but this was not the time to delve too deeply into it. At the front, there were still many powerful Abyss species to deal with. Above them, the Moon Sect leader and the other 3 were struggling to fend off 6 rank 9 Immortal King Abyss species. When they heard the commotion below, they were shocked. They had just seen 2 rank 9 Immortal King Abyss species heading towards the right. Did they not attack the northern front? Instead, they went somewhere else. Rumble, rumble. At this moment, Long Feng flew past at a terrifying speed in front of the moon-beckoning planet. Wang Xian, who was standing on the command platform, scanned the situation and did not stop. That's Long Feng? They didn't stop. The middle-aged man who answered the call was slightly taken aback when he saw Long Feng flying past. This Dragon Palace went to reinforce other places. On the battlefield, the Third Elder of the Moon Sect also noticed Long Feng flying towards the left. He was slightly taken aback and frowned. The Dragon King is going to reinforce our Dragon Python group first. However, the rank 8 experts of the Dragon Python group also noticed Long Feng and were delighted. Although the northern front was united, they still hoped that their planet would suffer the least losses. Seems like giving Dragon Palace 10% of the shares was the right choice. In fact, with their current strength, 10% is still too little. The Type 8 expert from the Dragon Python group muttered to himself. Master, the situation here is also tense. Flying past the Moon Sect's territory, the Dragon Python group's territory planet appeared in front of them. Because of the sudden appearance of the Abyss species, every corner of the planet was in a terrible state. In the void in front of them, there were already millions of human corpses floating there. 2 Type 8 experts from the Dragon Python group, along with the old ancestor of the North Chuan sect and 2 elders from the Moon Sect, were guarding this area. However, their opponents were 7 rank 8 Immortal King Abyss species, and they were outnumbered. 5 rank 8 Immortal King Realm experts were completely suppressed by the Abyss species. Kill. Wang Xian narrowed his eyes and gave the order. Su, su, su. At this moment, Mao Zedong pulled his bowstring to the maximum, firing over 1,000 arrows in a second. The rest of the Sky Eye Arrow section members also fired their arrows. It's the experts from Dragon Palace, it's Lord Dragon King. The experts from Dragon Palace are here. Excited voices rang out, even though they had not received news of the Dragon Palace killing 2 rank 9 Immortal King Abyss species. However, they still had faith in the strength of Dragon Palace. Sue. But very quickly, what happened next caused them to have the same expression as the other experts and disciples. 7 rank 8 abyss species were turned into corpses under the barrage of arrows. The 2 rank 8 experts from the Dragon Python group, the old ancestor of the North Chuan sect, and the 2 elders from the Moon sect were stunned, their eyes widening. Our Dragon Palace will take care of this. You guys rest. Wang Xian swept his gaze across them and said indifferently. Gulp. The 5 experts swallowed a mouthful of saliva and continued to stare blankly ahead. The rest were stunned as well. Their battlefield had become a slaughterhouse. Shit, old Feng, be careful. Hold them off together, don't let those beasts hold us back. However, at this time, at the center of the battlefield, the Moon sect, a crisis was brewing. The Moon sect leader and the rest were fighting against 6 rank 9 immortal king abyss species. All of a sudden, 3 rank 9 immortal king abyss species attacked the Moon sect leader and the other 2 elders. Meanwhile, the other 3 were attacking the last ancestor of the Moon sect. The tide was turning. Chapter 2665, Shit. In the air above the beckoning moon planet, the Ninth Order God King Realm Undying God King Realm Old Ancestor who was surrounded by 3 abyssal beasts turned pale. Patriarch Yu and the rest were fighting 4 against 6. The 4 of them were familiar with each other, and together, they could barely hold back the 6 abyss demons. However, these 6 abyss demons suddenly split up to attack the humans below. This forced the 4 of them to split up to stop them. But this split up made them fall into their trap. 3 of them surrounded Patriarch Yu and the 2 ancestors, while the other 3 surrounded one. In a battle between experts of the same level, if one did not have a god weapon or god kingdom, it would be difficult to kill the other party. In fact, in a 2 versus 1 situation, if the gap between them wasn't too great, it would still take a lot of effort to kill one of them. However, 3 against 1 was different. It could be said that there was a huge qualitative change. With 3 attacking at the same time, one could only dodge. If he failed to dodge, he would suffer a heavy blow. Old Feng, hold on. An old ancestor roared with an extremely ugly expression. Fuck, rising sun, appear. The besieged Patriarch Yu cursed. His expression changed drastically as he roared. Wang. Behind him, a huge sun appeared. It was a real sun. The sun was as bright as the sun, emitting terrifying flames. The flames shot towards the 3 Class 9 abyss species in front of them. Ancestor Yu took out his final trump card. Boom boom boom. However, the 3 rank 9 abyssal species were not afraid at all. Their 3 attacks landed on the flames of the great sun and directly suppressed it. 100% suppression. Goo. One of the bloated abyss demons in the center opened its mouth, and liquid appeared. Sue. The liquid seemed to be alive as it shot towards Ancestor Yu. Melt. Ancestor Yu's eyes lit up, and a pillar of fire shot out from the sun. The pillar tore through space, burning the air. Roar. Gaga. The other 2 abyss demons also attacked. The pillar of fire did not attack the strange pitch-black liquid. Instead, it was blocked by the 2 rank 9 abyss species. The strange pitch-black liquid fell directly on the sun. Ah! Suddenly, a scream rang out from Patriarch Yu. His expression changed drastically as he stared at the sun behind him. A black dot appeared on the sun, and the area of that black dot was expanding at a terrifying speed. Cold sweat appeared on his face. Boom! With a wave of his arm, he hurriedly put away the sun. Boom. However, the moment he put it away, 3 more attacks flew towards him. Quick, help me. I can't hold on much longer. Ancestor Yu roared with cold sweat all over his face. Damn. In the surroundings, the 3 Moon Sect masters who were being held back had anxious expressions on their faces. They wanted to break through, but the abyssal species in front of them wanted to trade injury for injury. No matter what, they would not let them break through. The 3 rank 9 abyssal species also knew that as long as they could stall them for a while, they could eliminate that powerhouse. Once he killed one of them, he would be able to kill the other 3 very quickly. What's going on? Oh no, one of our ancestors is in danger. One of our ancestors is being besieged. They are not a match for those 6 rank 9 abyssal species. When the experts and disciples below saw this scene, their faces were filled with panic. Once the patriarchs and sect masters could not resist the 6 rank 9 abyssal species, they would be slaughtered as well. Ah! Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream rang out. Hearing this scream, everyone's body trembled. Damn it, I can only hold on for 3 minutes at most. I will be killed in 3 minutes. The shrill voice of the ancestor rang out in the sky. His words caused the hearts of the moon sect masters to sink, and there was a flash of panic in their eyes. Use all your trump cards, don't hold back. An old ancestor roared furiously. Ah! However, just as he finished shouting, the besieged ancestor screamed again. They glanced over and saw that both of Ancestor Yu's arms had completely melted away. 4 powerhouses like him, losing an arm was something that they could instantly regenerate. However, to everyone's horror, the melted arms tried to grow back, but were blocked by the dark energy. This, can our ancestor hold on for 3 minutes? Below, some of the experts and disciples had a change of expression. In that short period of time, they were heavily injured. Even if the ancestor could hold on for 3 minutes, it was still a question mark. Where are the experts from Dragon Palace? Why aren't they here yet? One of the Moon Sect's disciples yelled out anxiously. The Dragon Palace has gone to support the Dragon Python Corporation. Even if they come, they won't be able to change the situation. A middle-aged man beside him replied with an ugly expression. The Dragon Palace has a 9th Order God King Realm expert. They can hold on. The Dragon Palace has already killed 2 9th Order God King Realm Abyss species. They are very strong, not any weaker than our ancestors. The moment the middle-aged man's words landed, the other Moon Sect's disciples who had rushed over to support immediately shouted. What? The Dragon Palace has a 9th Order expert? The Dragon Palace killed a 9th Order God King Realm Abyss species? Some of the experts and disciples who had been guarding the area exclaimed in shock. In an instant, there was a commotion. The Dragon Palace has a 9th Order God King Realm expert? Above, the Moon Sect leader's pupils constricted as he asked. Sect leader, the Dragon Palace does have a few 9th Order God King Realm Abyss species. They easily killed 2 of them. One of the Moon Sect elders replied. What? Quick, go get the experts from the Dragon Palace to help. No matter what the Dragon Palace offers, we will agree. When the Moon Sect leader heard that, a look of hope appeared on his face as he yelled out. Quick, go quickly. The other ancestors also yelled out in a frenzy. At this time, it was extremely dangerous for the entire Moon Sect. If they were not careful, they might be wiped out. If they continued to fight, the 4 of them might fall here. However, if they were to escape, all the disciples of the great sects of the Moon would become food for the abyssal species. Now that there was a chance of survival, they naturally grabbed it. However, the Moon Sect leader and the rest did not expect the Dragon Palace to be so strong. Yes, quick, go get the experts from the Dragon Palace, get the Dragon King to help. One of the Moon Sect elders flew out of the abyss in a frenzy as he yelled out anxiously. To think that the Dragon Palace actually became the Moon Sect's last hope. When the rest of the experts saw this, their hearts shook. Chapter 2666, Wonderful Pop-Up Window Free Reading, Ga Ga Ga. The arrival of Wang Xian and the rest had rescued Yu Shangfeng. When the 3 abyss species saw this, they were infuriated. Their hideous faces let out deafening roars at Wang Xian and the rest. 1 for each. Ao Fenghuang locked onto them with a cold gaze. Roar. In the next instant, he transformed into a heavenly lightning earthly fire dragon phoenix with a dragon's body and phoenix's wings. Flames and lightning circled around his body as he attacked one of the abyss species. I can't handle 1 for each of us. Ao Xingmu, let's go against the 2 of them. Mao Zedong smiled faintly. As an arrow dragon, his long-range attacks were terrifying. However, he was a level weaker in close combat. He would find it hard to defend against 2 to 3 8th level Undying God Kings in close combat. However, his long-range attacks were terrifying. All right. Ao Xingmu replied faintly. He charged over and attacked the 2 rank 9 abyss species with sparks of thorns. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The sound of the rank 9 abyss species clashing was heard again. Great. Dragon King, help me hold off the abyss species in front of me. I have a treasure that requires 20 seconds to prepare. After 20 seconds, I can severely injure or even kill a beast. An old man from the Great Lunar Sect was thrilled. He stared at the abyss species in front of him and said to Wang Xian, "No hurry. Hold them off for a few minutes." Wang Xian looked over and said plainly, "It would take Dragon Peak about 4 minutes to reach here. As long as he could hold off these abyss species for 4 minutes, they would be dead." Huh. The old man from the Lunar Sect was taken aback before he nodded. "All right, we'll listen to you, Dragon King." They were grateful for the arrival of the Dragon Palace. It was no exaggeration to say that the Dragon Palace had saved the Lunar Sect. Wang Xian floated in the starry sky with the 5 elements great grindstone hovering in front of him. He stared at the 30-odd rank 8 abyss species below and smirked. Wang. The 5 elements great grindstone spun at full speed. The 5 elements law of annihilation seemed to be able to silence everything. The 5 elements great grindstone enveloped the 2 rank 8 abyss species and attacked. The elder of the Great Moon Sect, who was fighting the 2 class 8 abyssal species, hurriedly dodged to the side. The 2 rank 8 abyss species wanted to dodge as well, but the 5 elements great grindstone chased after them. The dusky river of time directly brushed past the 2 undying God King level 8 abyss-type bodies. The rank 8 abyss species died instantly. Dragon rank 8 abyss species. The 2 Moon Great Sect elders immediately said gratefully, "Wang." The 5 elements grindstone moved and continued to attack the other class 8 abyssal species. "Haha, with the help of the Dragon King and the others, we will definitely win this time. Too strong. The Dragon Palace also has 4 9th Order Undying God King realm experts. King, there should be more than 4. The huge Dragon Peak is also very terrifying. We saw 3 thorny monsters flying out from the Dragon Peak. They are also very powerful. King experts and disciples were all sect. The disciples of the Dragon, King clan, are of the Peak Great Sect, King Chen, Sect, Clan, Long Dragon, Sect, Dragon. The crisis here could be resolved very quickly. The battle continued, but to the disciples and experts, the pressure was greatly reduced. Ao Xingmu and the other 2 fought against the 3 rank 9 abyss species, while Sect Master Yu and the rest fought against the other 3. As for old ancestor Yu, he was recovering from his injuries. If he did not have any powerful treasures, he would need at least a few thousand years to recover. Wang Xian slaughtered the rank 8 abyss species, while the liberated rank 8 Undying God King went to kill the rank 7 abyss species. The pressure on the humans lessened. They are here. 4 minutes later, the rumbling of the Dragon Peak could be heard. Wang Xian looked over with excitement in his eyes. This time, he was not prepared to let these 6 Undying God King level abyss beasts escape. First, trap the 3 rank 9 abyssal species on Ao Xingmu's side. Wang Xian ordered the heavenly array. Yes, Dragon King. As the Dragon Peak flew over, the array formation on it was activated. The thorny monsters formed by the 3 array formations immediately flew towards Ao Xingmu and the others. The 3 rank 9 abyssal species that were entangled let out low growls when they saw another powerful existence charging towards them. Ao Xingmu, Ao Fenghuang, Mao Zesen, let's work together to kill the other 3. Wang Xian ordered again as the monsters formed by the array entangled the 3 rank 9 abyssal species. Yes. Following which, the 4 of them flew towards Sect Master Yu and the rest. That Dragon Peak can actually trap 3 rank 9 Undying God King abyss species. Is this the true strength of Dragon Palace? Ha. Kill these beasts, kill them. Sect Master Yu and the 2 old ancestors were shocked, as they roared with laughter. Old Feng, we're here to take revenge for you. Brothers from Dragon Palace, help me hold one back, I'm going to use my ultimate move. One of the old ancestors laughed. All right. Ao Xingmu flew over, and a number of law thorns shot towards the rank 9 Undying God King abyss species. The old ancestor retreated from the battlefield and took out a lightning ball. The lightning ball contained an unparalleled destructive power. Wang Xian swept his gaze over and raised his brows. Brothers from Dragon Palace, dodge. 20 seconds later, he roared and threw out the lightning ball in his palm. Ao Xingmu moved and dodged. Crackle. Boom boom boom. With a deafening roar, when the lightning ball came within 1,000 kilometers of the rank 9 abyss species, it exploded. A vast power of thunder and lightning filled the surroundings. The destructive lightning tore the space apart. Ao ao, ao ao. The rank 9 abyss species felt the threat of death and let out a furious roar. Such power, even if it can't kill the rank 9 abyss species, it should be able to injure it. Wang Xian swept his gaze over and raised his brows. Soon, the lightning dissipated, and an abyss species that was in a terrible state appeared. It saw Wang Xian and the rest's gazes, and turned to flee in terror. Fart. But at this moment, a black and white shadow appeared, and easily killed it. There's another rank 9 existence in Dragon Palace. Seeing Ao Yarrow suddenly appear behind the rank 9 abyss species, Sect Master Yu and the rest were shocked. Including the bramble monster, this was the 8th. It was twice as strong as the great sects of the Moon Moon,